Hi everyone, this is Thelma Nora, and this presentation is going to cover a group project that had a team of 4 individuals, myself being the project leader, and I also had Rebecca Makus on the project, as well as Patricia Rivera and Chelsea Piccilli. Um, the objective of this project was to create a grocery store scraper. In other words, a program that allows you or allows a user to um, compare prices for uh, grocery items amongst two or more grocery stores, across two or more grocery stores. Also allowing the user to be able to find produce more conveniently based upon location, price point, and other functionalities. Um, so ultimately, as a project leader on this team, um, on the team, I was tasked with identifying the tasks and the tools that we would need to complete the project, as well as scheduling group meetings and coordinating with team members to confirm their availability, so we could meet weekly, bi-weekly, or multiple times in a week as the case as was required. I also helped with creating the initial backstory that helped us determine what tasks would be involved in creating a program like this. So, for example, as a user, what are some of the functionalities a user would need to have on this program, and as administrators and things like that, what other functionalities would be required. And so that kind of helped us determine what the different tasks were that we needed to complete in order to complete this project. I also assigned time limits and followed up with each members to ensure that the tasks were being completed on schedule, as well as providing weekly updates to our instructor to show the progress we were making, because we were basically following an agile scrum method in our project management. Also, part of what I did as a project leader was documenting our processes, our meetings, and updating the to-do list as we went along. I also assisted in some aspects of the um, program developing or the coding of the program itself, as well as providing assistance wherever needed. I also did some compilations of documentations required for the submission of the project, as well as submitting the project overall, and coordinating the presentation of the project when we had to present it before um, our instructors. And lastly, managing and updating the different project management tools that we used, which includes GitHub, Google Drive, Trello, and other tools as required. And so, just to give you an idea of what some of those tasks were that we had to complete, initially what we did was we split the team into two. Um, One team was going to handle the um, coding aspect of the APIs for the grocery stores and the location finder, and then the other team was primarily responsible for designing the GUI and coding, developing, and designing the GUI aspect of the program. And so we had Miss Chelsea Piccilli and Rebecca Makus on the API end, and then myself and Patricia on the GUI end of things. And so on the API end of things, we decided we were going to use Walmart and Kroger as our test cases, and then for the GUI, we decided to use Tikinta. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you to, I'm going to, what we did here was we had each member of the team presents aspects of the code that they specifically worked on. And so Miss Rebecca is going to talk about what she did with the Walmart and the Kroger scraping and APIs. And then Chelsea will talk about what she did with Yelp to be able to carry out the location finder aspect of things. And then um, Patricia will talk about what we did in terms of the GUI aspect of the project. And so, without further ado, I will let you listen to Miss Rebecca.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Makus. I did retrieved data for the grocery scrapper. Um, my portion was retrieving information from Walmart and from Kroger. So the objective was to get grocery name, price, and store location from various companies. What we discovered after starting was how difficult it was to retrieve this information. Um, a lot of stores do not have public access to that information. After some searching, we discovered that there are two companies, and we had to use two different methods to get information from them. So I did Walmart item information and Kroger item and location. So technologies, I used a website scraper for Walmart, and I got access to the Kroger API. So for the scrape, I needed a visible source code, a parser, and I needed to organize and clean the data. For the API, I needed to secure public access, get the appropriate URL endpoint, get authentication, and then also clean and reorganize information. So for Walmart, these are the steps I had to take. One key part is I had to repeat steps 4 and 5 without duplicating results. Let's take a look at the source. So this is walmart.com. So one thing that I had to do is I needed to narrow that HTML scrape. So you can see here, I narrowed that to food. And then if I put in apples, see, adding food adds this information here. And that allows me to narrow my results. So I'm not getting like Apple computer when I'm searching. I'm just getting food items. So when I do the GET request in the program I wrote, I substitute a variable for whatever the user enters here. So I put in apples, but you might search dog food or you might search flour or whatever. One thing that's important is for the scraper, I have to be able to see the source code. A lot of web pages protect their source code by layering it underneath, so you can't actually, layering it underneath other things, so you can't actually see the data. But if I look here and I say, okay, I'm gonna look here, the Pro 2 snacks. You can see here that I have some information about it that I can pull. Okay, so let's take a look at the code. Here it is. So I use two different imports, requests, and BS4. These are both things that deal with HTML data and websites, but I found the combination of the two was what worked best for me. So first, this is my main method that I call, and it calls all the other methods within the class. And then it also here, this is really critical. So to get clean results, I had to clean the file every time. So each time I searched a search term, name, or price, I had to pull out information so that I wouldn't duplicate results. So this is the scrape right here. So again, you can see here that when the user inputs a search term, I put that into the URL, and then I get that information. And then here I'm using beautiful soup to just return the text. So this helps clean some of the data. It's an HTML parser, and it just cleans out some of the stuff so that I have less garbage to deal with. And then I go here to the file text, and this saves it to two different files. So I have the one that I'm going to be iterating over, and then I have the one that I leave full so that I can go back and reference it if I need to. So this is the find price method. This searches over the raw text. So you can see here what I have to do to return the price. The price is actually in between these two pieces of information right here. So if I search a piece of text that starts with current price $sign and ends with $sign, in between that is the price that I'm looking for. And for the title, I use the same approach, except that the title is in between the text product title and the text average rating. So, and I clean up the title a little bit and just take out some garbage that would often be in there. And then I take the title and title price and I put them into a dictionary, and then that's what I return to the group members that did the GUI. So let me just show you really quick. This is the full raw text right here. So it's cleaned up. It's more cleaned up than the HTML, but it is still a lot of stuff to try and search. Okay. So Kroger. Kroger is a slightly different process because it's an API. These are the steps that I had to take. And the very first thing I had to do was get access. So this is a developer website. So I went on this and I requested access. Had a very nice conversation with Brian at Kroger. He's pretty excited about what we were doing. And then once I got access, I wrote the code. So let's take a look at that. Here it is. So for this one, actually didn't have to use base 64. I used requests. So Kroger, in their API documentation, they don't have any Python examples. So one of the challenges here was trying to figure out what it was I needed to do with information that I didn't fully understand. So that's probably what took the longest. So with Kroger, they give you an ID and a secret, which I keep in a file. And then you have to use those two to get an access. Once you get access, then you can use that access code, access token to request information from the API, and it returns a JSON. So then I take that JSON and I go through it to create a dictionary of just the information that I need. So let's take a look. Here's the location. So for the Kroger information, I first had to get the location ID because I have to use the location ID to get the product information for that location. So this is all the information it returns. This is one store. And out of all of that, I just needed to pull this location ID and then the address. Then once I get the location IDs, I put those into the product API, and I send out another request using the access token to get all the products. So the user determines how many products they want returned. So if they select the number 5, they will get 5 stores, 5 Krogers with 5 products at each Kroger. So here's an example of that. I think this might be 10. But this is the information that I get back. And out of this, I needed 2 pieces of information. I wanted the name of the product, and I wanted the price of the product. So what I did is I created a dictionary to pull out those pieces of information and then return them. And then I combined the address and the products to a list of dictionaries that I returned to the people doing the GUI so that they could put that into their program. All right. So conclusions were scraping websites is very website specific. One of my group members actually helped me get started doing the scraping, but I had to do a lot of research because of how Walmart was returning things. I couldn't get clean results above 10. I think with more time I probably would have been able to resolve that, but it's just something that I ran out of time to do. And then negotiating API protocols is very company specific, and they rarely, at least in the ones I've seen so far, have examples in Python. So I had to have friends familiar with coding help me interpret. Once I sort of identified certain things for me, then I could look for those later and understand what they meant and translate them to Python. requires a lot of passing of information back and forth in different forms to pull the information out. So understanding the data and what it is that you want is really critical. And here are some of my references. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rebecca, for that very thorough presentation. And next up, we're going to listen to Miss Chelsea Piccilli, and she's going to be talking about what she did with regards to Yelp, got retrieving information from Yelp. Over to you, Miss Chelsea.
Okay, so here we have the location data part of our project. We're going to start with a couple pieces of code that I worked on. First, we have our object using object-oriented programming principles. I decided that encapsulation of each of the pieces of data will be the safest route to take. So here we have the grocery object, and we can set different properties and display them, such as address, city, and zip code, things such as that. Next, we're going to go to the Yelp data file, and you can see that we imported several libraries. Request was mostly to parse responses, and Json was to parse responses as well. Here's the class that I created to encapsulate data right there. And we use all these other things to create files and to create timestamps. So the way this works is we have to authenticate ourselves with the Yelp servers. So if you look at this, this opens the authentication file, and if it exists, it will allow us to continue. There we have the authentication. And here we have our request. This is where a lot of the heavy lifting is done. It takes parameters and it builds a URL based on those parameters, and we need to pass headers as well. We use request to pass the URL and get a response back. Then that response is in the form of JSON, so we need to pass that to our next function, which we will talk about, which is right here. This is what does the initial work on the front end. This is another layer back on the back end. This thing right here in the middle is how we build our parameters. Luckily, request library comes with a way to build URLs, but we need to set these different parameters in order to get the correct data back and pass it to the request library. All right, so next we have our next function is grocery, and this basically instantiates the grocery object and sets all of the properties therein. It then appends the grocery object to a list of grocery objects. This returns a list. That way it can be worked with easier outside of the class. And I don't need to know what all the variables is, and then this, for the sake of encapsulation, it makes data security a bit easier. This, well, my team member Patricia was wanting her to use. You can see this is our displays the list as a string. It's unfiltered. Alright, and this one does something similar. Here, these last two functions, this writes all the results of repeated tests to a file. It also, when we have a solid internet connection, will display the information. I hope that was informative with how this bit of the program worked. Uh, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comments area. I'll be more than happy to help you with it. All right, thank you so much. You have a nice day.
All right. Thank you, Chelsea. And finally, we're going to have Patricia Rivera present the GUI or the front end of the program, and we'll wrap it up from there.
Hello, my name is Patricia Rivera, and I'll be discussing with you my part of the code when it comes to our group project. When we were coming up with ideas, Thelma was the one who suggested this one, and this one got passed through the class. And that is that we grab some stores, two or three. It could be multiple or more, but we just wanted, since it's a project, we just wanted to show you what it's capable of. Basically, what it does is it takes the two stores and it prints out the store information here, and then it grabs the product that the user searches here, and it grabs like 5 or 10 of those products, those 5 or 10 products prices, if they're different or not, and then prints out the store information from the zip code. Now, we decided to go for just two because the APIs, getting keys for APIs is pretty difficult because stores are like locking their APIs and stuff under a paywall or just not showing it to the public. We decided to go for Walmart and Kroger's. Uh, Thanks to Rebecca, one of my friends that was working with me on this project. She was able to get a key for the Kroger API. So we were able to get an API for that. But Walmart, we weren't able to. So with Walmart, it's going to show the product details and the product price of it, but it's not really connected to a specific Walmart. So you're only going to get one Walmart printed out, and that Walmart is going to be, I don't think it's really going to be near the zip code. It's just going to be in the area. I think it is connected to the zip code though. So we'll see. I'll just show you some stuff. Maybe if it changes, it's probably connected to the zip code. I think I did set it up to the zip code. But anyways, with Kroger's though, it's more accurate. So with Kroger's, it's going to get the name of the product that we searched, the product price of the product that we searched, and the store information is going to be connected to the zip code. So whatever zip code it is, it's going to search through a 100-mile radius and print out every Kroger's in that area, and it's going to give 5 or 10 products in there. So now that I explained that, let's do some tests. So if I put in a zip code and do like 5, as you can see, we already hit something I want to change, and that is when I made the GUI, I did Canvas, and I suggest try not using Canvas. Try to avoid that because I don't even know how this happened. Still couldn't find out what was wrong. So a future enhancement for me is I'm going to change this into a grid. Grid is way better, or pack. Pack is fine as well, but don't use Canvas. It's just really bad for this. So when you search up Apple 30213 and I put in how many items I want to search and you search it, it's going to buffer a little because it's going through all the information from the Walmart scraper, the Kroger's API, and the Yelp data. Now, as you can see, Walmart didn't print out for some reason. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like I said, it's not very accurate when it comes to the printing out of the information. So as you can see, there are 4 different apples in the Walmart at $7.04 exactly, apparently. So obviously this is most likely wrong, but we just wanted to show you what we were going for with comparing prices. Now, with Kroger's, it's exactly how it is. So there are 5 Apple products um, within each Kroger's that are here. In a 100-mile radius of this zip code, there's 5 different Kroger's in the 100-mile radius. These are the prices of those. As you can see, they all vary because obviously apples vary by price. So as you can see that works. Now, another future enhancement I plan on adding is a list box, a scroll bar. Because as you can see with the list box, you have to do this per one, and that can get really obnoxious. So I plan on adding a scroll bar so that all these three are connected to it, and it will be able to all three will scroll at the same time, so you don't lose it. So I plan on doing that as a future enhancement. So, because it's connected to a list box, it makes it easier through the code. Um, if you go down to where I put the reset button, here we go. Because it's in a list box, it only needs these couple lines of code to be able to clear them. So there's three different list box. So each list box is connected to a .delete function from 0 to the end of that list to delete it, and I have to do that 3 times for each list box. And then obviously if you're going to research, you need to delete whatever is in these these entry boxes so that you can research them, so you don't have to delete it yourself. So that's where this variable, which is connected to the entry box, .delete 0 to end is, and so is the zip entry. So if I click reset, you can see it resets. So how about we try to test out 10? So we'll do Apple again, the same zip code, and we'll search 10. Now this will show you that there will be 10 different Apple products per Kroger's, and Walmart as well, or at least it should. Like I said, Walmart's not very accurate. So there we go. Okay, so see, no Walmart for some reason in the store information, but there should be there. And 10 same prices with 10 different apples. So yeah, this could be better, but like we said, we're just showing you that we just want to compare prices. So now we've got 10 different Kroger apples, 10 different prices at this specific one. So the the limit is 5 and 10 because when Rebecca, who made the API and the Walmart scraper, when she was going through it, realized that, oh wait, what? You can't. It's really bad. So like it won't, if you search up a product past 10, it's going to give you an error, and we don't know why, but because of that, she just decided to just take out the other ones and told me to make a limit for it, so that's why there's a limit. Now, another thing I want to point together is the different try except block errors I added. So right now there's most likely way more errors than what I'm giving it, but I'm going to show you what errors and how they pop up. So if I don't choose a number and you just put in Apple and then your zip code and search, it's going to give you an error saying you need to put in whether you want 5 or 10 items shown. And because you didn't, it's not going to show anything. So if I click 5 and I put in 3021, as you can see, that's not a zip code because that's 4. You need 5 numbers to make a zip code. So if you try to search that up, you're going to get another error. You need to put in a 5-digit zip code. So then that's going to work. Now, another error message is going to pop up if I do a 906.1. So if I put in a zip code that has no Walmart or Kroger's in that allowed area, then it's going to give me another error. And that is, it's not enough. So no search results with the given search location, item, or number of items for Kroger's or Walmart. Try to change the zip code. Now, because Walmart isn't connected to the zip code, because I don't think it is, it's going to still bring out the Walmart information. Even if I press OK, I need to set it up where it deletes this before it gives the error so that it doesn't do that information. So as you can see, it's buffering because it's still bringing out the Walmart information. So just gonna give that a second. And there we go. Now, as you can see, the store information is the only thing that popped up besides the product detail and price. Again, don't know why. That's another thing you have to check. So doing this, this is mainly what we were trying to go for, is if we can get access to other APIs, stores like Walmart or Publix or other ones, we can just do the same thing that we did for Kroger's. And if we search it up like we did, we'll be able to pull out the five apple apples, the five different product prices for those apples, and this. Now, if I wanted, I could go in the code and I'll show you. I could go in the code that Rebecca made, which is not, yeah, Kroger's, and go into the parameters, which is right here, yeah, right here. And as you can see, the filter radius in miles. So that's a 100-mile radius that it's going through. If I wanted, I could do 200. So as you can see, if I do 100, it's going to bring out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different ones at this zip code. Now, if I just close this and then run this code again with 200 instead of 100, it should bring out Kroger's in a 200-mile radius instead of a 100-mile radius. Okay, that's another glitch that for some reason happens. I put in 5, I put 10. Interesting. Okay, well, that's what happens with errors and stuff. So, but you should be able to. So, it'll search for Kroger's in a 200-mile radius instead of a 100-mile radius. So, that's that. And then when you're able to, which I want to, there's going to be a, if I just like uncomment this part out, future update is when I'm able to add multiple stores and stuff, I want to be able to search by price or search by store. We commented that out because it's not functioning right now, but when it can function, that'll be a nice addition to it. So that's our program, and that's what I did with the GUI. Um, so I hope what I explained and how I did it was understandable to you and stuff. To sum up, what I basically discussed was we wanted to make a program that would be able to take multiple stores and bring out the information of the product the user wants to search by the price and compare the prices to other stores so that it could show the person what store is better to go to for a specific price. Especially if you're on a budget, I think that really helps. So again, hope that explains, and that'll be it. Bye.
All right, thank you, Patricia. And that concludes this presentation on grocery scraping application. And it was a pleasure and an honor working with these ladies. I learned quite a lot from this experience working on a team, being a project leader, putting together something like this within such a short period of time. I believe we had about a month or less to put this together. So it was a fantastic experience, and we learned quite a lot working with each other. We learned quite a lot from each other. It was a very cooperative team, and I hope that this program is useful. If you have any questions or comments, please post them at the bottom of this video. Again, thank you for going through this presentation and have a wonderful day.